Welcome back, everyone. Very good morning to all present in the class. Good morning. Warm wishes to all. I hope I am audible to everyone. So today we shall discuss about batch processing, for which we have one of the module or project in the Spring Boot, which happens to be Spring Batch. Spring Batch. It is all about processing the bulk data, or you can say record. Processing the bulk data or record. It could be anything, not just one. Where at a time, if you have a plan of processing thousands of records or lakhs of records, for an instance, giving monthly salary to all the employees, a big MNC such as the Cognizant, Google, TCS, at a time processing the salary for thousands of employees, generating pay slip for them. Or you can say some of the companies giving you greetings, offers to all its customers. At a time, they're trying to process thousands of records. Fine. Or maybe there is a data present inside some file. Maybe 10,000 records are there and you want to read all of that at once. So all this can be done with the concept of batch processing the bulk data at a time. So now what application are we building right now, if you ask me? I have asked the chat GPT. You can also ask and get it sample randomly generated by the chat GPT. I have generated one CSV file referring to Excel sheet where we have hundreds and thousands of records, which I would like to read it from there. I want to read it from there, read all the records. Then we will have a Spring Boot application which will process it. This is our Spring Boot app, where by using the Spring Batch, we are going to process the data and write into our database. That means store permanently in our table permanently. Okay. So this is the example I would like to take this to demonstrate the batch processing. And all of you must know Java happens to be one of the fastest programming language compared to other popular languages. You can name it in top 3-4 languages which are fast after the C or Rust programming language. Whereas Python is one of the slowest programming language out of all the famous, the most slowest programming language you can say is the Python language. But the most fastest programming language among the top languages which are used for the application development is the Java after C, Rust or C++. This is the Java language which dominates. Now, how much time it might take to process or to read, not just to process, to read 1000 plus records, process it. If you want, you can do the logic of filtration or whatever you want, you can write here and then store that into the database. Whatever you are reading, as a developer, you have a right to do some modification while processing. You have an application and you can write any logic. Maybe you are reading and you want to store the data, which is the people from only India can be stored here. So all of that modification, you can do it, for which we have batch processing application. Fine. Now, as I have told yesterday also, today also, I would like to give the disclaimer that if you are focusing on the names of the class, methods of the class, then it might create an issue, because those methods, those classes names, for the first time you're going to see. For the first time, even if someone asks how to read the data from the keyboard, if you show scanner class and pass system.in, for that normal scanner class also, our newbies can get confused. There is nothing there, right? Just because of system.out.println, some fools call Java is a difficult programming language, wherein the reality is Java is the only language which you can read. Apart from Java, by looking at the code, you cannot understand every code. But Java, if you know Java properly and if you see someone's code, Java gives that capability that you can understand. That's the reason lakhs of developers are using. Humans, we don't use something which is difficult. If it is something is easy, we use it, right? So readability is high, but the classes predefined names, for the first time you're exposing, it might not be so much friendly for all of you. So you have to be, supporting me on this. So there are some important terminologies which you may have to understand here, which I would like to discuss first. The terminologies: Spring, batch, terminologies, which you must be knowing it. We have something called as job launcher. We have something called as job. Within the job, we have a step. Within the step, we have three things: item reader, item writer, item, maybe here item processor, I would like to say, the one which will process the data. Processor, item, writer. All of these things will be configured in one more terminology called as job repository or repository. Anything you can call. Okay. These terminologies, if you have understood entire, functionality, only you'll understand. All of you are there with me? Yes, no, maybe? Great. The most important term here is item reader. Then we have item processor. Then we have item writer. These three things are very, very important here. All these three things is the main thing which you must know. Number one, to this item reader, you have to specify source. Source in the sense from where I have to first take the data, from where I have to first read the data. Source you have to specify. You have to specify how to read the data. You have to specify about where to read the data. And after reading the data in our Java application, in our Spring Boot application, which is the model class, which is that POJO, which we have to bind the data which we are reading with. All that information you have to specify. So basically, item reader is the one which will read the data into our application. After getting into our application, you can process the data. You can do the filtration. You can write whatever logic with the data. It's up to you. After playing around with the data, you can write the data into the destination. That means where you want to finally store the data. I will be storing in my database. So if you want to read the data into your Spring Boot application, the first process is to configure the item reader. After getting into your application, if you want to do something with the data, process the data, we have item processor. Then we have item writer, which is used to finally write the data or store the data into your destination. Maybe your destination is to store the data in the database. All these three things will be configured inside something called as step. Inside step. And in every step, we will have only one item reader, only one processor, only one item writer. All three things, the main three parts are part of step. Now step is configured inside one more important component called as job. In every job, there can be multiple steps. In one job, there can be multiple steps. But inside one step, we have only one item reader, one item processor, one item writer. All of you are getting here? Yes, no, maybe? Is there any ambiguity, guys? And this job is configured inside one more component called as job launcher, the one who will launch this job, the one who's going to launch this job. And all this job launchers information, job information, step information, all of this must be configured inside something called as repository. Job repository, you can call job repository, the one which will maintain the information about your launcher, your job, or your step. So guys, all item reader is the one who is responsible to read the data from our source. Item processor is the one which will process the data. Item writer is the one which will write the data into your destination. All three important components will be configured inside a step. And inside one step, we will have only one reader, one processor, one writer. In that regard, if you want to read the data from multiple sources or maybe for multiple activities, then you have to create multiple steps, because inside one step, we have only one reader, one processor, one writer. Now inside this, all this step, we have only one. This step again will be configured inside the job. One job can have multiple steps also, no problem. You can create multiple steps. All those steps you have to configure within the job. And this job will be launched by job launcher, the one who will launch the job. Fine, everyone? These terminologies. I had given you the description. You have to follow the steps or the process I am going to follow. Not the all these things we are going to learn from now on is the configuration, guys. And configuration is always the one-time setup. Remember this. Security configuration, batch processing configuration, Kafka configuration, all of them is one-time setup. Day in and day out as a developer, you're not going to keep writing this code. Even if you're a developer, these types of code will look new to you because you'll not come across with this. What is your usual duty? To write the service layer, to create these POJOs, to also create the REST API methods. This thing day in and day out you write, and those things are very easy because you're going to write every day. But these things, configurations part, be it security configurations or all such configurations, it's a one-time setup. And you should not go by the classes names, because for these setups, any time the classes names might change also. Making sense? So those predefined classes will be different for upcoming versions. One of the example also I had given you earlier, be it Swagger or anything. So guys, these terminologies, if you have understood, only then the program will understand. If program you have not understood, these terminologies, if you have not understood, then application you will not understand anything. So guys, the one who will read the data to what we have to configure to make sure that the data which is there in our Excel file, in our CSV file, can be brought into our application. Which component we have to configure for that? To brought the data into our application? Item reader. Others, are you all there in the class? After doing that, if you want to filter, if you want to do something, we have item processor. And from your application to store the bulk data into your database, which component is used, which component we have to configure? Item writer. All these three components should be configured inside which major component? Step. Then step must be configured inside which component? Job. Can we have multiple jobs? No, one job. But inside one job, can we configure multiple steps? And job must be launched by whom? Job launcher. And job launchers and step information must be configured inside which component, my dear friends? Job. All of you inside the class, everyone? Yes, no, maybe? All present in the class. Great. I'll go back to my application. This is my Eclipse. Before that, I'll go back to my browser. I'll go here. I will refresh this. Maven project, Java, latest version, or anything is fine. All 3 point are latest only. I would like to go back. I'll say telescope. I will say batch processing application. I would like to go here. I would like to say here Spring batch. Guys, Spring batch applications with transactions, retry, skip, or chunk based processing. That means while doing this, you can implement transaction, you can implement chunk based, means maybe how to read at a time. Example, 1000 records I want to read. Should I read 1000 at one go? Should I read 10 at a time, 100 at a time, 20 at a time? Which chunk? How many chunks at a time you have to read? That information also you can specify. After reading, I have a goal of storing that into a database. If you have a goal of storing it in the database, I have to add a MySQL jar. Then data JPA is the technology I want to use to store in the database. Apart from this, maybe to create an API, I would like to go with the web component and auto configurations. We have our dev tools. And for now, I think this is sufficient. Let's see. So we have an application here. I would like to go back to my downloads. Take this app. I would like to go back to my D drive. Data is the part which we are working on. So right click, extract all, extracting. It's done. It's done. Get back to my IDE. I'll go back here. I'll say import existing Maven project. I'll say browse. I would like to import it. Okay. After which the project is imported, the very first project. It is loading, it is loaded. I want to configure the application.properties. As all know very well, I would like to go to any of the application in that matter and get the details. Okay. And add it here. These things, why it is needed, everyone knows very well. I need not to add this. Okay. Take this, close, go back to this source. I would like to add it. Apart from this, one extra you have to configure here. What is that? If you ask me, it is spring dot batch dot jdbc dot initialize schema always for based on whatever bulk data. Based on that, for the large volume of data, to enable automatic data table initialization in your database, we have to write this spring dot batch dot jdbc dot initialize dot, I mean schema is always okay. Apart from this, these things are usual, everyone is aware of this, I need not to talk on this. After which I would like to go back here, create multiple packages. To write the configuration, I will write one package called as config package. To write my model class, I will write one package called as model, the entity class, so that I can bind the data which I'm receiving and store into my database. Both for same POJO I will use for both. To have a DAO layer, the logic, repository logic, which we need not to give apart from interface, but yet I would like to go back here and write my rest endpoint. I would like to go here and just refresh it. We have this. From the chat GPT I have got, guys, you can all also get it from the chat GPT itself. Excel sheet, it will only generate. Write a command that give me sample, like, CSV file. I want to demonstrate a Spring batch processing application. Give me sample records. You can see here all these things I want to load. We have a lot of data here, guys, hundreds of data. This entire data I want to store in my database. This entire data I want to store in the database. Writing the SQL query is not relevant. But as a developer, can we write an application which can process this data within fraction of milliseconds? Can we store the data into the database, guys? So much of data we have, and I want to store this data into my database. Are you all there? I have to create a model class here. The model class must have customer ID, first name, last name, email, phone number, address, city, state, zip code, country. Customer ID, first name, last name, email, phone number, city, state, zip code, and country. I would like to get back to my application. I would like to go to my model. I'll say right click, new, one POJO. I will say it as customer is the name of it. And to the top of this, I'm just going to use one annotation called as entity. This is a model class also. I'll make sure that my Spring will bind the data into this POJ only. To store in the database also same. Integer type of customer ID. I would like to go here and I would like to say here ID. It is not auto generated. I am reading the data from that CSV file. Apart from this, what else we have? First name, last name, email, phone number, address, city, state, zip code, country. Okay. Any confusion here, guys, of what I'm writing so far? All good, every one of you? String type of last name. After which I'll say private. String type of email. After which I'll say private. String type of phone number. Phone number. Then we have private string type of city. Then we have private string type of state. After state, I guess zip code and country. It is zip code and then country. State. I'll say here private string type of zip code. Private string type of country. For these many fields, getting it? I would like to take this, right click. I'll say source, generate the setters and getters. It will generate. I would like to go and have one toString method. If you want, you can have constructor, but it's not needed for you. Any issues in the Pojo, guys? Anyone in the class has any issues in the Pojo which you can see on your screen? No. I would like to go to the DAO layer. Right click, new, and as all of you know, it is interface. I'll say here I customer repository. It must I, or maybe I'll say JP. I want to go with JP repository. JP repository. I would like to say here customer type of data. And what is that I have given, my dear friends? It is customer type of data, and the ID is of type integer. I would like to import. Just to tell you guys, tomorrow I have a plan of taking AOP, Spring Aspect Oriented Programming. So tomorrow it is AOP. Friday, most probably class will not be there. And I and Naveen sir both might be traveling to Delhi. So tomorrow class is there, AOP. Friday we might not have class. Monday, upcoming Monday, we are going to start with Spring Security. Upcoming Monday, we are going to start with Spring Security. Fine, guys. So Monday it is Spring Security we are going to start. And once Spring Security is over, during the microservices only, Kafka and Redis also will discuss apart from the other components. Great. It's not recommended, it's not compulsory, but a good practice to write a repository as we have discussed earlier also. Done. So far, so good, guys. I have created the model to bind the data and to store the data into the database entity also same model, no extra DTO. Repository part is over. The next part is the configuration part where I will configure whatever we have discussed here. All these components will be configured inside this application. Okay. And guys, today or tomorrow, the announcement of new DevOps with AWS batch is going to be announced. It is a 4 months weekend course, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. 3 hours Saturday, 3 hours Sunday. 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Will be evening in the, US or Canada, I guess. So Friday night and Saturday night, I feel, in US and Canada. In India, it will be morning 9, only Saturday, Sunday, starting from third weekend of January, second weekend of January, most probably. I'd like to go back here and give the name as batch configuration. So right now we are going to do the configurations. And could you please tell me the suitable stereotype annotation which we have to work with here, guys? Suitable stereotype annotation. Configuration. As everyone is aware of this already, I would like to go with and write configuration. Now, what all the things we may have to configure, my dear friends? First of all, as already know, everyone knows, since I have a plan of storing into the database, for which I would like to say here, I customer repository. Type repository. And I would like to go with the field dependency injection. Done. Few more things we may have to do it. But before I do that, I have to first configure item reader. After how to read, where to read, then we have something called as item processor. Item processor. Processor. Then we have something called as item writer, to write the data into the destination. Then all these things must be configured inside where, my dear friends? All three things must be configured inside where? Inside all item reader, item processor, item writer must be configured within step. And step must be configured within job. Job must be configured in the job launcher. And all these things, while you are configuring, while you are writing the code, you have to also give this information to job repository also. Done. Now process is what you have to follow. Will you follow the names of the classes or something? The answer is no. Please don't do that mistake. Right. I would like to go back here and say public. Whatever is the method name, the method name I'll give it as item reader is the method name. Return type of this is we have to use one of the predefined class. Name of the predefined class is nothing but, I would like to say here, flat file item, flat file item reader. Flat file item reader, which is dealing with customer type of data. Flat. Okay, I would like to go with flat. I would like to import this. Imports are done. So this is the class which we have to disturb. It is a predefined class. Whenever we disturb a class, we have configured, we have added something new. Will it automatically will be taken care in the Spring IOC container, guys? Is Spring aware that we are playing around with this? No, right? If we have to give this, after configuring this, if we have to give this, what is that we may have to use, my dear friends? Which annotation should I apply this at this position? It's nothing but B. Any issues to anyone? Yes, no, maybe. No, right? Correct. There are a lot of code here, how to read, which I will discuss. After which I may have to process. To process the data, we use one class called as, this is not a predefined class. This is my class. I will only create one class by the name custom processor. Whatever it's developer, how you have to process, developer has the control over it. I will say here custom processor. I'll say maybe process customers data is the name of the method. And I would like to go here, return new custom processor. Custom processor. It's not a predefined class, guys. I'll create the class by this name. And I'll hand over this to Spring by using Spring. There is no class as such. I will only create a class. The class is getting created here. And if you want to this to have a logic related to batch processing and consider as the processor, it's, yeah, you can say, however, whatever you feel like, it's a business logic. I'll say here implements item processor. What type of data? I want to read customer type of data. I want to write customer type of data. That means while processing the data, customer I want to take it. Customer data I want to take it and I want to process. Add the unimplemented method. Within this, you have to write the logic which is responsible to process the data. Logic to process. That means filtration you can write here. Example, guys, whatever data I'm going to write, I would like to, whatever I'm receiving, this will be received after reading by the item reader. The data will be passed here. And I want to return the data as it is. As it is means no filtration. So whatever data we have here, all I'm reading, all I want to write it, all I want to process it. Right now, I have not written any logic here. Whatever data I'm going to receive, same data I'm going to process. That means, am I doing any filtration, anything here? No. If you want, you can do it. For an instance, I want to process the data from people who are only from India, from this entire file. After reading into your application, write the logic of filtration here. That maybe you can just write some logic here. That logic is responsible that it will verify from this item country if it is equal to India, then you process. That means item writer now will process and store the data into database from all the people only from the India. Are you getting it, guys? But right now I have not written anything here. That means whatever data is there as it is, I have a plan of writing. That's the meaning of it. Done, everyone in the class? Yes, no, maybe. And guys, all of you are there, everyone in the class. Please show some energy, guys. Such applications, all of you guys were supporting me when I was writing simple Spring Core applications, simple Java applications. Here is where I need your supports and you are silent. Please show some energy. Guys, item reader is there. Item, what we have done, guys? Processor. Then what is the next item? Writer. After processing the data. Public repository item. Repository. Why? As I have told, no, these classes will differ based on the source and destination. These classes will differ based on the source and destination. Okay. I would like to go back here and say customer. I will say here item writer. Okay. Now, guys, I would like to create the instance of this item writer first. Repository. Repository means database item writer. That's the meaning of it. I would like to say here writer equals to new. Done. All right, every one of you. Customer type of data I'm working. After which I will say item writer dot set repository. Which repository are we using, guys? What is the reference of repository? This is a reference of repository. Customer repo. JPA is what I want to use. I have given using this repository. Inside this repository, which method is being used, guys? In order to store the data into the database, which is the method name in the repository? What is the name of the method? Using this repository, I'll say dot set method name. Name of the method is save. Inside that we have a save method, store the data. This is configured. And then this information I will hand over to my Spring container. How to hand over to Spring container? By using bean. So far so good, guys. Everyone in the class. Now item reader, of course I may have to first, I'll do one thing here. I'll just return this. Okay. I will myself create the instance of this for now, which is a flat file item reader. I'll create. Lot of configurations are there here. Okay. Equals to new. I would like to go back here. And of course, flat file item reader. Lot of configurations are there, which I will do it. Okay. Done. Those who have understood the process, I hope there is no difficulty. Now we have item reader, processor, writer. I have to configure inside this step. Guys, the way we used to configure the step in Spring 5 and Spring Boot 2.7 is different than what I'm going to do right now. It is different. As I have told again, that name of the classes will differ. The way we configure the things will differ for different versions, but the generic process is going to remain same. Earlier, I myself, 2 years back, the way I used to do the step configuration is different. And after immediately Spring Boot 2.7 stop supported by the Spring IO initializer, I had to create the project in the Spring Boot 3 version. For the first time, when I have done that for my weekend batch and the Telesco itself, lot of issue. 3 hours class got wasted. Chat GPT is also not giving the solution. From the website, whatever solutions are there in the things are totally different. Because the way we have to configure the step was totally different then. And we used to get a lot of errors. 3 hours of class full wasted, no one got the solution. Then after that, I had to sit whole day. And next class I have done what changes have been made in the latest version. So what I'm trying to say is, few here and there small process, the classes names, methods name will differ based on the versions. But the generic process is going to remain same. And that process only you have to understand, not the names of the classes. Because after 1 year, this might again change. Understanding, guys? Now I have to configure the step. I'll say a step, public, step, type of step. And I'll hand over this step to something called as Spring IOC container. Okay. Imports are also very, very important. Now, my dear friends, I will say return new step builder. Step builder. Guys, inside one job, is it compulsory that we should have only one step? Any compulsion as such? No, right? We can have multiple. I'll give the name of the step. I'll say here step 1. Whatever name you want, you can give. And I will configure this step information into my job repository. Job repository right now is not there. I would like to just create the job repository. I would like to go above and create one field of this, not local field. I would like to take this, go at the top. I will create one field, not object type. I'll give it as private job repository. I have imported, guys. Interface it is. I'll ask my Spring to give the implementation auto-wire. Auto-wiring is done. Now, same job repository. I have configured my step. I have given the name to a step. That step is configured in the job repository. I mean, given the information about the step in the job repository. Now, step I have to configure where, guys? I have to configure this in the job. But before that, I will say here dot. I'll say chunk. See, earlier we used to use this. Now it is deprecated. I have used this earlier. It is totally deprecated now. Earlier, we never had transaction in the Spring 2.7. As I have told you, I am teaching the Spring from 2020. The way I used to teach, many things are different than what I am teaching you right now. See here, it is different. Right now, transactions is compulsory. We don't have option. See, transaction is compulsory. Transaction is compulsory right now. Transactions are by default implemented. I would like to take this and I would like to just specify here. I will use generics here that I want to process customer type of data only. Okay. And after which, my dear friend, chunk I have told at a time how much data. I'll say 10. 10 at a time, read, store in the database, read, get into application. I want to do 10 at a time. You can say 100 at a time. You can say 1000 at a time. Out of maybe some hundreds and thousands of records which I have showed you in my CSV file, 10 at a time I want to go with. And see if it is 10 also, how fast Java is. To all the Python supporters, I would like to show. Even 10 at a time I am reading. Within fraction of seconds, it will be able to read. And I have to implement the transaction manager. I would like to create a local, well, not local. Let's go and create a field of it. Okay. Let's go and create a field of this. Okay. The transaction management also, let's do a field of this. I'll only auto wire. Spring will take care of transaction. You need not write a separate code. I've just created the reference of it. And I'll ask my Spring to do the auto wiring, dependency injection. Spring will inject this object, transaction object. That means transaction means either everything or nothing. Either everything should be read or nothing. Okay, in between should not get stuck. Right? I would like to go back here. Transaction is implemented. After transaction, I'll specify a reader. Which is the reader, guys? What is the name of the method which is responsible for the reading? I have to configure the reading. Please see here. I have to configure reader, processor, writer into the step details. I have to give to job repository. I have done that. How to read the chunk I have told, and these things I have added into my step. I have to add now. I'll go back to my code. This is the method name, right? I'll just go back here and specify this is the reader. Done. After reader, I will specify the processor. What is the name of the processor method, guys? I think this is the processor. I will add this. The processor is added. Batch processing cannot be simplified more than this, and I can assure you on this. Dot, I'll say writer. And what is the writer method, guys? I'm writing this. I would like to go back here and add it. After which I'll build the job. I'll say build the step, sorry. I'll say step. What a step I'm building, I have given it to Spring IOC container. Any issues here, guys? Any issues here? All good. If all of you who have understood the process step by step I'm following into the code, any issues, guys? Can I go and configure now the job? I will say public job type of job. And of course, I may have to hand over this to my bean. I would like to say bean. Now, guys, I will say here, earlier the way I used to, it takes time, but as I have told Suresh, will you worry on the names of the methods or the classes, or are you following the process which I am going to teach? I can give a write and give you. This cannot be simplified more than what I have told. You can check entire parts, and I can challenge you on this. Okay. Whatever is the name of job builder you can give, I'll say here name of the job is customer import. That's the job I'm doing right now. I have to configure this to job repository, which I'll do it. I'll say job repository. After in the given the information about this, I will say here start. I'll go back and say dot. I'll say dot. Of course, I may have to import first. Import it. Job builder is not able to import a add cast. Why add the cast? Okay. I would like to say a dot. I'll say here, guys, flow is there, and we also have something called as start. Start means first you have to specify the first step. What is the name of this step method, guys? This is the step, right? I'll configure this. And if you want to add more steps, one job will have multiple steps is what I have told. You can say and save flow. Again, you can just write it. Okay. How much ever jobs you want, you can add it. There is no problem there. Right. And after which I would like to go back here. I would like to go back and I would like to just build it. Dot build. Job is ready. Guys, look at the process. Item reader, processor, writer, all these things configured inside the step. Step is configured inside the job. Job information and step information given to job repository. Done, everyone? All good so far? Those who are listening in a generic way. Guys, these things you have to understand the process only. Every day will you write the program for batch processing in your real applications? Even if you have there is nothing called as digestion here. Whatever you've understood, the steps which I have given you, right, that is only digestion. Because after, suppose 5 months, you'll not write the application about the batch processing. After 5 months, if someone asks, can you write the application directly by opening your laptop? But if someone asks you to create a repository, if someone asks you to create a POJO, if someone asks you to create a REST API method, will you need to refer anything? No, right? Immediately you will write it. But for such things, you may have to refer again. That's the reason one-time process you have to understand. And I'm getting only few responses which are not good here. So next last part is job launcher. Before launcher, I would like to continue the program of item reader. Reader we have to specify. No, not needed, Chavan. Earlier it was needed. Now it is not needed. Earlier in the 2.7 it was needed. Now guys, this part I may have to write. A lot of code is written here. That lot of code, will you focus on the names of the class? No. Why? What is there? You understand that on this. First, I have to specify where is my source. I will say here, reader dot set resource. I will say where is, from where I have to read. From where? I would like to say a new file system resource. And within this, I would like to specify where it is there. Okay. I would like to add this here, guys. I would like to take where is that local available. I'll go to my local drives. Wherever I have kept, right? I will take this file from there. I would like to go and get this file from my downloads. I would like to go to my aliens or no data. In the data, batch processing application, and in the source, in the main, in the resources, I would like to paste it. I will save this. After pressing, I will save this. Go back here, right click. I will refresh. After refreshing, guys, we have this data. Whatever file I has given, that file is there here. Everyone. Now I would like to specify this address. I would like to specify. I will say here within source slash main slash, I think resource, no, is the name of this. Yes, resources slash, what is the name of the file, guys? Name of the file is customer underscore data dot csv file. All of you, yes, no, maybe. I would like to import from where I have specified. Any issues here, guys? From where the address I have given. Next step, will you focus? Oh, why this name? If you focus on name, you'll never become developer. That's not a development. Development is from where I have specified. Then I have to say here that I am reading from a CSV. Whatever name you want, you can give. This name need not to be whatever I am writing. I had given it as CSV reader. You give your girlfriend name here, not a problem. After which I'll say a reader dot set line. All these are optional, but I would like to write it. Set lines. We had lines to skip. I'll say 1. Which line to skip? After all, first line to skip. Why? Why have you told that? Because I don't want this. Whatever header we have, no, I don't want this to be reading. I want to read from second line, not from the first line. So only have configured. Done, everyone? Now, how to read? I have to specify. For which I'll say reader dot set line mapper. How to read? By implementing line mapper, I have to specify. If you want, you can write the logic here only. If you write the logic, it will be so much. What I'm going to do is I will create a method separately. That method I will invoke here. I'll create a method called as line mapper. I'll create it. See, it's a private method. Whatever logic I have to write here, that entire logic, I'll keep it inside this method because lot to write here. How to read, I have to specify. Where to read, I have told. What am I reading, I have told. I have given to name for my reading. Then I have told skip the header. And now how to read, I have to told. I have to tell here how to read. For which 2 classes you have to use. Name of the classes is new default line mapper. Line mapper. Default line mapper. I would like to import this. Default spelling is wrong, I guess. Yeah. Default line mapper. import it. I would like to go here and say line mapper, line mapper. I would like to create here what type of data we are mapping, guys. Customer is a type of data we are mapping, and this line mapper I would like to return. Line mapper I would like to return. If if I'm invoking, if you know basics Java, if I'm invoking this method here, this object will be written here. Now inside this object, I have to configure how to map every line to my Pojo. How to read the data I have to tell. For which I have to use delimited tokenizer. Delimited line tokenizer. I'll say here new delimited, delimited or delimited line tokenizer. Tokenizer. Why am I writing this object, guys? To map every record which is there in your CSV file into my Pojo. How to read, I'm specifying tokenizer. And let me create a local of this. Now using this tokenizer, I'll go to the next line. I will say tokenizer dot set delimiter. Set delimiter means I will say here comma. Guys, in general, not just specific to this Spring Boot application, CSV file is always referred to file comma separated file. The second name of CSV file is comma separated file. That means every record is internally separated by a comma. So we also call it as comma separated file. CSV means comma, as size is telling. And it is not specific to this application. In general, we say CSV file as comma separated file. Okay now? After which I will say here tokenizer dot set strict. Dot set strict. I will say false. What do you mean by set strict false? Every line I'm explaining, guys. Every line I'm explaining. Why set strict false, if you ask me? In this CSV file, if there are any of the columns, example, this column is missing. This column is missing. Mapping issue will be there. We have a Pojo, we have a setter, right? We have an entity class model with some setter. But here we don't have a data. What would in this case? I'm telling ignore. False means don't be very strict. By chance, if some of the record, some of the column, if the data is missing, ignore that. If some data is missing, ignore that is what I'm trying to say here. Everyone in the class, are you all there? This step of the line, ignore it. Others, could you please give me a response? Yep. Now I'll say dot set names. I'll say set names. And all the names I have to give. All the names which are there in your Pojo, I have to give as it is. I'll go back here and I have to give all the names. How much ever fields we have. How many fields we have? We have our customer ID, first name, last name we might have. Then after last name, what we might have, guys? After last name, we might have email, then phone number, then city, then zip code, then country, then what do you say? Then maybe state. Let's see how much we have. I'll go back here. I will add one by one. Where you have to map that information I'm giving. How to read, I am specifying here in general. I would like to map everything. It should be same, guys. You cannot compromise here. Okay, no compromise. I would like to go back here. Those who have understood Spring so far and understanding this, I'm pretty sure you will understand everything. There's no ambiguity, but don't try to recall the names of this. You are not doing this every day. After city, we have state, zip code, and country. State, zip code, and the country. The last one is country. My goodness. Okay. Done. After which I have to say that whatever reading I am doing from a comma separated file without getting strict from a comma separated file, yes, it will store as a null 7. You are right. From a comma separated file without getting strict, read all these fields. And now I have to inform one more information. What is that? What is that I have to inform right now? I have to say from where, which is the class which you have to bind. That information I have to give here. For which I'll go and use one class called as bean. Bean. Bean wrapper field set mapper. Mapper. I would like to go back here. Okay. Now I would like to say maybe as bean wrapper. Bean wrapper is the name of this. Let me create the field of this, and the field I would like to specify here is the custom. Now using this bean wrapper, I'll come here. I will say dot set target, which we have to map with. I have to map whatever data is coming from the CSV file to this Pojo, to this model. I will specify. After which I'll go back here and say now using the line mapper, both tokenizer and the bean wrapper, I will add into my line mapper. Dot set line tokenizer. So I will add this tokenizer. After adding the tokenizer, I will say line mapper dot set field mapper. That means that has to be mapped with this bean wrapper. Done. Line mapper I'm giving here to the item reader. So guys, this is the lengthiest configuration for the item reader. I have specified everything from where name what you are doing, skip the header. After skipping the header, I have told you have to read from a CSV file, which is comma separated file. Don't be very strict. Read all these columns, and these columns bind to the customer class. This is the information I have told. All of you? Any ambiguity to anyone here, guys? Have you all understood from where to read? Ignore the header. Read from a comma separated file. Don't be very strict. These fields you have to read. After reading, map this to customer class. Reading is over. I'm processing the data, then writing into the database using the repository, using the save method. I've configured that into the step, and step is configured into the job. Now, final step is what, guys? What is the last step we have to take care here? What is the last step? Is a job launcher. I will launch from my API call. I will say here, I'll say customer controller, whatever you want, you can give the name. As all of you know by default, I would like to go back here. I'll say here REST controller. Yes, job launcher is the last part. Am I audible to everyone, guys? Pramod is telling some issue. Right now, am I audible? Private job type of job. Job I have already configured, guys. And the job I will ask my Spring to auto-wire here. I will ask my Spring to auto-wire. I will say here, I have only configured, I'll say auto-wire. Done. Auto-wiring is done. Now I will say here, private. We have something called as job launcher. Job launcher. Type job launcher. I will auto-wire this. And what is the name I had given here? Okay, import is what I have to. Okay. I'll go back here. I will write one method. Maybe public void load data. Whatever is the method name, doesn't matter. And this I will bind to get mapping. And the endpoint, I would like to give it as import. Import is the endpoint. Okay. Now, my dear friends, I will say here what and all you want. See, directly I can say job launcher reference I've created, right? I'll say here job launcher. I will say launcher. Okay. I will take this reference. I will say here job launcher. I'll say dot run. I have to specify two things. One is job. Job I have already configured, so I will add the as it is. Then I have to create the job parameters also. I'll create a job parameter. I will say here equals to new job parameter, new job. Like what and all you want to see at the time of launching the job. New job parameter. I'll say dot add. I will say job parameter builder. That's I'll say here job parameters. Job parameter, I guess it's an interface. Let me go back and check it. It's a class implementing serializer. Okay. We have one more class. I'll say job parameter parameters builder. I'll say builder. Okay. Let me import it. Import it. I'll say here dot dot add date. What not information you want to add, guys? Maybe I want to add maybe I would like to add these many things or whatever you feel like to add. What all information you want to be printed, that is what I want to add here. Okay. I will say here maybe one message starts at and then I will say here I what you want to print. I will say here maybe current time of my system dot current time in millis. Get security is outdated. I'll say dot to job parameters. Job parameter object is ready now. I would like to save this. I have to go here, save this. Job launcher is also ready now. Fine. I would like to just print one message here, system.out.println. I'll say data is loaded. Data is loaded. Check the exception guy. This is yeah. Okay. Saved. So I think everything is ready. Did I auto add the transactions is done, repository done, this is done. Fingers crossed, guys. CSV file is ready. Fingers crossed. Right click. I'll say run as automatically import. It will only launch, guys. I need not to invoke that endpoint also. Import I have told no. And since it is there in the same file, my fingers are crossed. Oops. Failed in 351 milliseconds. Failed, guys. Step 1 executed in 258 milliseconds. Step is executed in 258 milliseconds. And apart from this, we had other issues because of which it is failing. ID does not have a default value. ID doesn't have a default value. Could not execute ID. Insert into oh query. It is not taking ID. Why did I not add ID, guys? Here I have added no customer ID. It is there, right? And in my CSV file also it is there. Customer ID, right? Customer ID is there, no? Mm, is it internally using constructor or something? Is it setters I have generated for that ID? Is setters are there? It's there. I would like to go back, stop this application. That means steps are happening is somewhere, some other issue is there. Step is running in 256 milliseconds. Not auto increment. I don't want it to be auto incremented because ID is already there. No Pramod. See here, look at this ID. I don't want to be automatically included because it is there here. I hope you're understanding this. All the people who used to support me when I used to write a code on strings and arrays. Are you all here in the class? All the ones. Huh. So there you have supported me. Can I get your support here? Let's identify the problem. I have told initialize. Is this spelling correct? Let me ask the chat GPT on this. ID is not mapping. That's correct, Pramod. That is what happening. It's very clear message. ID is not mapping. That's fine. I would like to go and create. Maybe already one table is there, guys. Some issues or something as such. I'll say create. If it is there, create will drop the table if it is already there. And create a new table. And consider also I've added there. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Fine, guys. It is success right now. Completed in how many, guys? 3 seconds. All of you are Java developers. Java, it is completed in 3 seconds. Hundreds of records. It is able to not just store, it is able to read from a CSV file, process, and store into database within 3 seconds. All these records, my Spring Boot application could able to read and store within 3 seconds. I don't have license. And these guys are creating issues. No license, no license. I don't want to buy Ray. Yeah. Guys, are you able to see here? This all hundreds of records, my Spring Boot application able to read and store in the database, both. And that too, I am not writing the queries here. Who is writing the queries, guys? Spring only is writing because JPA part we have not taken care. See? 10 why you are getting because chunk I have told 10 at a time. 10 at a time. 10 at a time. Total 1000 plus records are there, Suresh. I would like to go back and check whether it is really there, guys. I would like to refresh. I would like to go back customer. You can see, guys, all the records. So not this is customer. This is a new customer, I guess. Which is a table we are working on. Is it alien? Batch execution, other information is there here. See, guys, all of you. All the records are available. Other informations are also there. How it has went, that information also has been stored here. So guys, batch processing, yesterday's class, at the end, I had given you a disclaimer. Today's class, at the beginning, I had given you a disclaimer. If you focus on the names of the method, it's difficult. But if you follow the steps which I have told, then it is the most easiest thing to do it. Not so difficult also. Fine. All of you, because as I have told you guys, earlier it used to be different. The way we used to configure this was different. The way we used to configure this is different. Maybe after 1 year, when new version comes, again, it might change. Again, the classes names might change, right? But the process is going to remain same. So this is about the job or batch processing, guys. In batch processing, doesn't matter what you are processing. These terminologies is what you should be knowing it. I had demonstrated one program, that's a different case. But these things is what you should be knowing it whenever you're learning or you say that I know batch processing. If you know batch processing, this information you should be knowing it. And if you could able to explain this information to the interviewer, definitely you will have an edge that yes, you do understand the things. They will not ask the method names. By chance, if an interviewer is asking you the method name and class name, that means interviewer is a immature or a fresher, or maybe with 1 or 2 years of experience. The real interviewer will not ask you the names of the methods and all of that. They may ask about annotations. They may ask about the generic process, how batch processing works, how do you do that. If you could able to explain these in detail the way I have done to you, then you are a winner. Okay. And in the tomorrow's class, which is on Thursday, we are going to understand aspect oriented programming. A real implementation of aspect oriented programming in our restful services classes, we have seen it. But tomorrow I will take up one by one all the important components you might know. If you say you know AOP, those components is what we are going to learn in tomorrow's class in the most simplified possible way. And Friday we will not be having class. We will have class on Monday. And what is the topic on Monday? If you ask me, Monday we are going to start with Spring Security. Monday we are starting with Spring Security. Fine. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then microservices journey will start. You can specify what is the source, Anil, based on the source, first of all, from where you want to take that source. That address you have to give. Multiple classes names are there. Based on the source, those classes names you have to specify. Right now, I have a hard coded because the source is present there. Maybe source is present somewhere else. The source is database itself. It depends from where you are taking the data and where that file is present. That will differ. For which different classes names are there, different methods names are there. But item reader will remain same. Okay. Depends on where it is available, you may have to specify. Go back to my batch processing. I would like to take this, right click, compress this to zip file. I'll go back here, computer. That's all for the day, my dear friends. Thank you so much for being with me in today consistently till the end with one of the difficult concepts. All the configuration topics are difficult to understand because of the names of the classes methods which we might use. And you are learning after 1 year, if you watch the same video and try to execute in the latest version, it might not be the same case. But the process will remain the same. The method names and the classes names might differ. Excel sheet is already there in the project, Anurag. If not, also if you can ask ChatGPT, it will give you randomly. Based on this, you can develop a new application. You create the Pojo based on the file from the ChatGPT. If not, in your zip file of my code which I have shared, right, it is available there also, because this is there. I have kept it here. See here, source/main/resources. This is available. Are you there, Anurag? Source/main/ in your this project I have I have shared with you guys. I have shared with you. If you want, you can do it from there also. CSV only it will work, Manikanta. For that, we may have to differ. Small part will differ. From the source, methods name will differ. For anything we can do, vice versa also you can do, Javeria. You can do the vice versa. You can read the data from the database also. The source of reading the data and storing the data into the destination might be differing. It is not just to store from the read the CSV or storing the database. This is one of the use case I have taken, guys. It could be reading the data from the database and storing into the CSV file. It could be the reverse of this. While processing the data, you can delete whatever you want. Maybe you want to delete everyone from Germany, for an example, while processing the data before storing into your actual destination. The destination might differ, the source might differ. This is one of the example I've taken to implement the batch processing. Batch processing is a generic concept to process any bulk data in that matter. The names of the classes and methods will change. That's it. All right, guys, thank you for being with me in today's class. We shall meet tomorrow and understand about AOP. We have seen a use of AOP directly in our RESTful service application in the global exception handling. Let's understand that separately also in tomorrow's class. Okay. So thank you for being with me in today's class. We shall meet tomorrow 7 a.m. and start with AOP. And next week, Monday onwards, whole week, we shall see about the Spring Security followed by microservices. Under the radar of microservices, we shall be seeing the Kafka and Redis and the other things. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, every one of you.